Welcome to WolfSports.com. Pleased to be joined by our special guest, representative for the great 8th District of the state of Texas, Representative Kevin Brady. Congressman, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. First of all, we're going to talk sports. We're not going to talk politics or anything like that. I'm sure you've had enough of that today already. And looking at sports-wise, you know how much Montgomery County has grown since you took office. When you come back on your trips, when you come back from D.C., this current sporting landscape, you ever stop to think about how much has grown since you took office?
Yeah, you do. It's just stunning. I mean, Montgomery County is now nearly 500,000 population. The high schools have been created. When I first moved to Woodlands, there was McCullough. Now we have College Park and Oak Ridge North, of course, all of which have great programs. But throughout the county, we've got, our high schools competing and winning state championships in golf, in track, in volleyball, the recent win by the Woodlands, their national championships in baseball and state and football. It's grown like the rest of the county, just remarkably.
What is the most significant growth you could say as far as the sporting landscape since you took office in D.C. in '97?
I think locally, where our area, was continually competing at the state and national level in cross country and track and golf, that's really now expanded to football and baseball and volleyball and some other areas. And so you've seen programs that are tougher to put together. Now they're solid, great coaching, great community sport, really great athletes. That's been the biggest change.
What is... the biggest switch now is hosting events. The city of Shenandoah hosted the 2013 NCAA Division III Swimming and Diving Championships. I got rave reviews for that. They just won 2 more bids to host that same event in 2015, 2017. The Ironman of Texas is now here. It's one of the largest Ironmans in the country. What has events like that meant to this area?
Just economic growth. Plus, they bring so much excitement. Obviously, when Conroe passed the bond issue to create Woodforest Stadium and the natatorium, it really opened up some opportunities. Shenandoah, to their credit, has bid aggressively to land this. So we've got people in our hotels, people shopping locally, just great excitement there. Then the Ironman, which finishes about 200 steps from where we're at right now. If you've never been to a finish at Ironman, it's unbelievable. It's just rock star exciting, seeing these people finish this incredible race. And so that brings, just like the Shell Houston Open brought this sort of great culture to the community, the weeks leading up to Ironman, just fantastic.
Switching to high school sports now, you mentioned that McCullough was the only school in town. They had to go all the way up to Conroe to play games. Now there's the Woodlands, College Park, Oak Ridge. All of them have great depth in all of their programs now. What does it say for this area that the level of competition is just so high?
Throughout the Houston region, of course, it is tough to get out of any regional bracket in any sport these days, but they put together great programs. I think the infrastructure has played a big role in it. Clearly, being able to play locally, has allowed us to build bigger crowds and audiences for all 3 of the schools. Their baseball facilities, the others, are just first rate as well. And so, I think it all goes together. You've got great programs, but you've got to have the facilities that allow you to compete at a state and, in some cases, national level.
And speaking of the facilities, Woodforest Bank Stadium now just fixing to turn 5 years old, if you can believe that, and the natatorium. It's a world-class facility. And when you go out of state and you see some of the other high schools, I'm from Louisiana, when you see some of these facilities elsewhere outside the state of Texas, it really kind of makes you appreciate what you have here.
There's no place like it. I grew up in the Midwest, played all sports growing up, had never seen anything like these facilities. But, they're very well done, I think. They're not extravagant, but they really put in the right facilities for these young kids and the programs that go with them. So, especially in Conroe ISD, been very frugal with their tax dollars, but an investment in these facilities has paid big dividends, I think, for the community, both economically and for our kids.
Well, I would think that the traffic between Woodlands and College Park football game would rival that of DuPont Circle at times.
There is, it's tough to get in and out of those, but again, I think the district's done a good job. It's just an exciting time to be here.
Also, you're talking about the growth. It's starting to grow north now. The redistricting is coming up. Montgomery is now going to come into the district. That'll be official in a couple of weeks. Montgomery, if you think about how far they've come, they were a 3A high school when you took office. Now they're going to be competing against the Woodlands, College Park, and Oak Ridge. Talk about just the growth of the area. That's going to bring even more fun, even more local competition.
Yeah, it's going to be new rivalries that never existed before. I mean, we've settled in, with Lufkin and Bryan College Station in these areas, but now to have in your backyard Magnolia with 2 high schools, Montgomery and that growth, all in the same district with South Montgomery County and Conroe, it's going to create just some great local rivalries that, frankly, I didn't see arriving for another decade. So it's exciting to see it accelerate.
There was also one thing, as the rivalries continue to develop, there's also going to be a need in the future for facilities. There is a 4th high school on the horizon on the plans of Conroe ISD. Recently, in the past November election, Katy ISD voted down a $69 million football stadium measure. What steps can this area learn if there hasn't a rise for new facilities? What can we learn from that?
There is a lesson I've been proud of watching our local school district, in fact our county, in the infrastructure projects they bring to us. They're very well vetted in the community, lots of input beforehand. They're seen as frugal investments, and so the bond issues here tend to get passed because they're really what we need. And in an area that really values its education and school systems, I think we're going to keep pace. I think we're going to keep up with the infrastructure needs on the athletic facilities.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for part 1 of our interview with Representative Kevin Brady. Go to wallsports.com or click on over to iTunes and search Wall Sports, that's WOL Sports, for the podcast to finish part 2 with Representative Kevin Brady. For wallsports.com, I'm Brian Duvall.